Hey, 8th graders, welcome. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. Look, today we're going to talk about something literally every single great writer has to go through. We're talking about that crazy core concept of taking your writing from a messy, chaotic first draft and forging it into a really powerful, polished final piece. We're calling this iron sharpening iron, the art of literary revision. Think of your words as raw metal. By the end of this, you're going to learn exactly how to become the master blacksmith of your very own stories.
So tell me if this sounds familiar. You know that feeling when you've got a story idea that sounds absolutely perfect, just brilliant and epic in your head, but when you finally get it down on paper, it's just totally confusing? Maybe the action doesn't quite make sense, or the characters sound kind of flat? Well, trust me, you are not alone. Every great author, from J.K. Rowling to J.R.R. Tolkien, has faced that exact same frustration. First drafts are meant to be messy, guys. They're really just you telling the story to yourself. Okay, let's dive into this and discover the solution to that messy first draft.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover iron sharpening iron, why peer review matters, how to revise effectively, your revision mission, and finally, education with true morality.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Iron Sharpening Iron, the big idea.
If we really want to make our words count and express our unique ideas clearly, we need to look at a powerful piece of ancient wisdom. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17 says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." I want you to really picture that for a second. Imagine a blacksmith's forge. Sparks are flying everywhere, the heat is intense, and this heavy hammer is striking a glowing blade right against an anvil. In this scenario, you, the writer, are the craftsman, and your peer reviewer, well, they're the fellow blacksmith. You absolutely need each other to strike that anvil, work out the dents, and sharpen the dull edges of your story until it's a total masterpiece.
Now, we need to redefine a term that usually makes students groan: peer review. I know, but peer review is not grading. Actually, scratch that. It's definitely not about taking out a red pen and crossing out your friend's hard work to give them a C-. It is sharpening. It's this amazing process of revising after you get feedback to make your writing clearer, far more powerful, and genuinely enjoyable for your readers to experience. Think of it as the ultimate tool to unbury your great ideas from the trap of awkward, clunky sentences.
Moving right along to Section 2, why peer review matters, the forge.
So, the crucial point is, handing in a first draft is literally like handing someone a rusty, unsharpened piece of metal and calling it a sword. It's just not finished yet. So why do we do it? Why do we revise? Well, first off, you get a totally fresh perspective. Let's be real. When you've stared at a page for hours, your brain literally starts filling in the blanks. A peer will notice mistakes that you completely missed just because they're looking at it with fresh eyes. Plus, it actively strengthens your storytelling skills and teaches you a hugely vital life skill: how to give and receive constructive criticism gracefully. But most importantly, it rescues those brilliant ideas of yours that are just buried under unclear descriptions. Now you might be thinking, peer review is just rewriting someone else's story to sound like yours. No way! It's actually about helping the author make their own vision clearer. This perfectly illustrates the mindset you need when you're getting feedback, too. Receiving feedback is all about listening openly, and then deciding what changes actually serve the core purpose of your story. Ultimately, you are still the master of your own forge.
Let's look at Section 3, how to revise effectively, the hammer and anvil. All right, we're moving from the theory of the forge right down to the actual striking of the anvil. This is where the magic happens. Let's say your peer reviewer says, "Hey, I couldn't tell where you were." A flat first draft might just say, "He walked into the place." Pretty boring, right? But after you strike the anvil, you add a sentence to set the location. "He cautiously stepped into the damp, echoing cavern, shivering as the cold air hit his face." Wow, what a difference. Or what if the feedback is, all the characters sound exactly the same? Flat dialogue says, "I am angry," said John. "Me too," said Sarah. Let's fix that. "I can't believe you'd betray us," John roared. Sarah simply crossed her arms, whispering, "I expected nothing less." See? So much better. And finally, if they tell you this section feels way too slow, you fix the pacing. Chop out those 3 paragraphs describing a random tree, break up your long sentences, and get right back to the action.
Section 4, your revision mission, the challenge.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is it's your actual game plan. It's time to apply this to your homework assignment with a highly actionable 5-step roadmap. Step 1, swap drafts with your partner. Always start positive. Write down 2 things you genuinely liked about their story.
Step 2. Look at your own feedback and identify one part of your story that desperately needs more detail. Step 3. Find just one sentence where you can swap out weak words for stronger, sharper language. Step 4. Find one overly long, rambling sentence and shorten it to give it some real punch. And Step 5. Revise one single scene to improve its pacing so the reader just flies right through it. I want you to tackle these 5 tasks today with the focused mindset of a master craftsman.
And finally, Section 5. Education with true morality, the foundation.
Let's zoom out for a second from the mechanics of sentences and look at the broader philosophy of life. This is the core foundation of the Heroes Smart Academy Godly Learners series. Education without morality will hurt. Honestly, what is the point of being super smart and supposedly educated if you continue to make bad choices that hurt yourself or others? Think about what we just did with editing. You learn to look at a messy sentence, recognize the flaws, and make the good choices required to fix it up and make it beautiful. Well, this perfectly mirrors life. What's the point of knowing how to write a brilliant essay if we don't have the moral grounding to make good, positive choices in our daily lives? Education intertwined with biblical morality ensures that the tools you gain are used to build up, not tear down.
And this whole idea is anchored in a really beautiful promise. Romans chapter 8, verses 6 and 7 promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. It's an experience we see time and time again. When you intertwine biblical morality with your education, when you approach your learning, your peer reviews, and your life with a spiritual, grounded mindset, it brings true peace. It brings genuine success. It's kind of like removing the chaos of the messy first draft of our choices and bringing true clarity to our lives.
So, 8th graders, here's the deal. You now know exactly how to strike that anvil. You know how to sharpen your paragraphs, clarify your scenes, and really help out your peers. But looking at the bigger picture, how are you going to sharpen your mind today? What choices will you make that reflect both your education and true morality? Take that challenge with you as you head into your revision mission. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Now get to the forge and start sharpening.